afternoon, whenever you're listening to this, welcome to the internet's most sophisticated wrestling podcast, discussing the weekly aspects of it all, right here on
The Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast.
Well, hello there. Happy Saturday morning, everybody, and welcome to the Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast. It's a beautiful morning to talk a little wrestling. We've got a great TakeOver show tonight. Oh, wait a second. It's not tonight. It's Sunday night. Why did we change that? I don't really get it. Why are they suddenly doing TakeOver shows on... I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that hates that, but I absolutely hate it. Like, I actually think Saturday is a very good day for a pay-per-view, and Sunday can kind of be a pain in the butt, especially when you got to wake up the next morning. I don't know if it's Vince McMahon and everybody collectively getting in that, like, well, it's kind of like Super Bowl Sunday, except it's a pay-per-view day. It's like, well, yeah, but even Super Bowl Sunday's a pain in the butt. I mean, because
and they're just gonna change it when the day before WrestleMania anyway. So what's the point of changing it one day? And it's not like there's anything else going on Sunday that they're gonna compete with. I think, right?
Is there something going on Sunday? I've got no idea.
I don't think so. I mean, nothing like mainstream type stuff.
I mean, I guess the argument for Saturday would be, and I'm not sure if there's one that's already set or not, but typically you have like MMA fights on Saturday.
Yeah,
I don't think I know of any of those being advertised that are big enough to matter right now.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that AEW like solidly is like, nope, Saturday is the day. Like, I like it to be Saturday. It's easier for me to watch because I'm usually off. And Sunday, I travel sometimes. So kind of like tomorrow, I'm traveling.
Yeah, tomorrow I got a concert to go to tomorrow night. So I'll be watching post it being over and everything. So
what do you guys think about wrestling this week?
Well, hold on. Before we get started.
Oh, okay.
I've been away for a week and a half or so, some scheduling issues and whatnot, but I know Christopher yesterday put out a tweet, asking people, hey, what do you guys think we should talk about? And I don't think anybody responded back to it. So Twitterverse, bad on you. You guys suck. So they always talk about like unpopular opinions and what's the hot take for today? Well, you know what? I got some hot takes for today. I've had some time to think about these. So a couple of things that have been rumbling around in my brain. Number one, Creamy Kramer, you need to get a Twitter, and your Twitter should be BMWP Gimpy LaCream. Just because he went through a little surgery that he had. So Gimpy LaCream, get on it. That's a little off wrestling subject here, but number one hot take, NXT announce team. I'm kind of getting tired of them. I don't know. Agree, disagree?
Agree 100%. I'm with you.
Okay, good. I like that. Number two, hot take. Vince McMahon burying wrestler rumors really annoys me. And if he is doing it, and for whatever reason, I hate it because some of the wrestlers that he's burying are wrestlers that I like to watch. Guys like Cedric Alexander, for one, I'll just throw it out there. It's been, I feel like that has been ramped up over the last couple of weeks. Let's see. Hot take number 3. AEW production issues. Listen, boys, girls, AEW, you have 8 months to clean your shit up, and that's it. That'll be 1 year just about. So fix your crap. And for anybody that doesn't know and hasn't listened to this podcast before, go back and listen. Just watch AEW. You guys put on a good product, but sometimes, man, you make my head hurt.
And by the way, take a shot.
Yeah, exactly. Hot take number, I don't know what it is. Wrestling
4,
community.
5 somewhere there.
Yeah, 4 or 5, I don't know. Wrestling community. Can we just like respect each other's opinions and stuff and not like throw out hate all over the place? It is what it is. Everybody loves wrestling in their own way. Just get over it. And my last, and this was the first one on my list, but I kept it for last. And this is what started my whole hot take list. This rumor of the Bella twins going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, I absolutely hate it. Now, to the point that this morning before the podcast, I actually went through all of the Hall of Fame classes and wrote down all of the women that are currently in the Hall of Fame. Moolah, Sherry, Mae Young, Wendy Richter, Sunny, Trish Stratus, Lita, Alundra Blaze, Jackie, Beth Phoenix, Ivory, Tori Wilson. I don't agree with her, but whatever. And Chyna didn't even get to go in by herself. She went in with the faction DX.
That's what happens when you turn into a porn star, though.
Yeah, I know. So now I don't like the Bella twins. I never liked the Bella twins. And you want to know what? If you want to put the Bella twins in the WWE Hall of Fame, put them in under the celebrity status, because I don't think either one of them were good wrestlers. My opinion, agree to disagree. But wrestlers like Victoria, Molly Holly, Mickie James, Chyna, and even Miss Elizabeth as just a valet and what she did way back when. And I mean, there are tons of other ones should be in ahead of the Bella twins. That's my hot take list. That's it. My rant is over. I am done.
There are some interesting ones there in regards to, I wonder if some of them haven't made it because of the stigma that goes along with them. Like, so you look at somebody like Miss Elizabeth, and the end of her life was so like dramatic, kind of. That
I agree.
I mean, I saw a special that was like, it was like the dark side of wrestling, you know, and it like what like the very first episode I think was talking about, you know, Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, and it was a pretty intense, you know, it's a pretty intense story that they both have going for them. I like your hot takes for the most part. You know, it's funny because I watch NXT every Thursday, day after, with Chaz and Sarah, and I just find myself telling those people to shut up all the time. The announcers to shut up all the time. It's like Beth Phoenix is just absolutely horrible. Like she's not a good
Agreed.
announcer
Agreed.
at all. And then guess what? All the drama that happened a few months ago with Mauro Ranallo and Corey Graves, and Corey Graves kind of calling out Mauro Ranallo on like the way that he announces, and talking about, you know, people bringing to light like all like the different like hip hop references that he does and stuff. That's kind of like telling somebody that, like, I don't know, black Mustangs don't exist, and all of a sudden all you see is black Mustangs everywhere. You know what I mean? The second that Corey Graves and Mauro Ranallo got into it, and it was made critical about the fact that he does that, and he does like the whole, you know, hip hop references all the time, I can't not hear them all the time. The time. And they drive me crazy.
He shattered your glass ceiling.
The glass
exactly.
ceiling.
But it's like every single, it's like there's like a one-liner. It's one-liner after one-liner after one-liner after, and like then you have like Beth Phoenix throwing in like 3 words here or there, and it's just like, can we stop? Like, as much crap as we give Tony Schiavone and JR and stuff, I mean, and it's got to be, you know, how long they've been doing it too, but it feels like there's more of a flow most of the time when it comes to their commentary, and it's not just a one-off line here and there, and you know, these crazy, you know, I feel like every time Ronaldo talks, there's like 7 exclamation points after what he says.
And I think they were going in the wrong direction, but I mean, Raw got it right now. I mean, they backtracked and they put Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton back on Raw, right? I mean, that is your, at this point, in my opinion, your gold standard for commentating. My only exception to that would be if AEW, they pivoted away from the old guys and they, like, let's say it was Excalibur and Taz or something like that, that would be probably my gold standard.
Yeah, that would be good.
But I don't even consider, I like Corey Graves. I don't even consider him to be in like the standard. You know, I think Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton are closer to like what I'm looking for in commentators overall.
Yeah, it seems like the hashtag that Christopher started that we've used a couple times, bring back Byron, actually worked. So thanks for listening.
It did, and every single time I would see Tom Phillips, I would tweet WWE. Every single time I'd see him, like, where the hell is Tom Phillips at? Can you please bring him back? He's always been my favorite. But I like those hot takes, man. That's funny, and you know what? It was. I looked at the clock. It was 4 minutes into the recording of of the podcast that we got the name for the episode. I think is this episode 46, I think. So episode 46, Gimpy Crème. I love that name for Mike so much. Gimpy Crème. Chris joined us. He hasn't talked yet.
No, I'm just listening and enjoying at this point.
Welcome.
He has said that. Say what the hashtag is. I'm sorry for the listeners who have to hear this twice, but say what the hashtag is for, or not the hashtag, the Twitter.
The Twitter handle for Michael Kramer was one of my hot takes this morning, and it's Gimpy Crème.
Gimpy Crème.
It's excellent. It's excellent. That's, yeah. Much love to Gimpy Crème.
So let's blow through some of this list of what happened this week before we do picks, you know. And picks are serious business, and we got picks from everybody this time. Everybody's got them now. I had gotten them from Steven too, but now Steven actually is here to do his picks. But we do have picks from Nick, and we do have picks from Mike. So we're gonna have six full people picking for this time, and the question is, who is going to take down Nickamura, who just buried everybody at Royal Rumble. I mean, I don't think anybody was close.
I went ahead and put mine in because we kept moving the day back and forth. We weren't certain, so I just wanted to make sure I got him in case something came up.
Yeah, I have Gimpy Crèmes and Nickamura's logged in here, and I got Stevens logged in, but it's a smaller writing just in case he needs to change anything. So you know we're good to go on that front.
Fun times. So can I start out with the fact that SmackDown really, really sucks? I mean, it's really bad. Like I feel like if I would be just miserable if I worked at Fox and I was an executive there. I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, WWE, what are you doing? Like, we signed this TV contract with you and you're not taking this partnership seriously because it's awful.
Well, you remember when they had the war rooms and they had the Fox football robot in there and everything? I actually think that his hard drive fried, and that's why the writing has been so bad, because they've been just throwing darts at walls.
Like, so he was the writer, but he's broken?
And like literally right after that whole thing happened, his hard drive fried, and they haven't been able to fix him. So that's why it's been so terrible.
It's like he's Rightbot, and all Rightbot said is Baron Corbin, Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin, Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin,
Yes.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
He's stuck in a loop.
Yeah, let's just redo.
He just keeps saying
SmackDown
it.
the same every week.
He just keeps saying it. Keep bringing it. Keep bringing it.
You know what's a shame? They really do have the star talent on SmackDown. They aren't doing anything with them, or they aren't doing the right things with them. Like after the whole draft and everything, they had ended up with a lot of good names and a lot of good characters and wrestlers, but what they're doing with them is just not working.
Yeah, I don't know. And oh my god, it was so painful last night when they did like the moment of bliss at the beginning. I mean, it was so painful. It was dragging on, like this interaction between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, like where they were like talking to each other. It's like I mean, I kind of get where you guys are going with this, but it's not working at all. Like you need to stop immediately.
What were they doing? They were like teasing who she's actually dating in real life or whatever, and then they were just, I don't know. Yeah, the interaction between them sometimes is funny and sometimes is good, and then sometimes is really bad. And it's like, just get to the point, which was Bailey coming out and starting the match with Carmella.
But as bad as that was, I think Alexa Bliss redeemed herself, and I don't know if it was last night or this morning, but that picture she put out on Twitter was pretty nice.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I've got an idea, and yeah, cool, good times. What do we think about Hogan Wyatt?
I'm
Terrible.
fine with it. No, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
If he
It's just a
destroys him.
promo. He's not gonna fight
the
him.
promo, yeah, the promo is fine, but if they go into that, if they start going down the road where like, okay, the Fiend's taking on Goldberg, and now the Fiend's going to take on Hulk Hogan at some point in time, I hate it. I
agree.
Well-
I hate the whole idea of it.
Well, here's the one thing for me though, right? And while I can't say that I'm very pro Wyatt Goldberg, I would love nothing more in my soul of souls to see Bray Wyatt no sell the leg drop.
Yeah, that's the greatest point Jimmy's ever made. Like that's it right there. Like I didn't even think of that. That's exactly what we need. I just want him to take out Hogan, and I'm fine with that because he's been taking out Mick Foley, he's been taking out Kurt Angle, he's taken out some of these legends, and Hogan makes all the sense in the world. But I didn't even think about the leg drop no sell. Oh man, that's somebody listen to Jimmy. That'd be perfect.
I don't even think they need to listen to me. I think that's what they're doing. So I'm torn with WWE and Bray Wyatt because I feel like they like kind of do the right things and kind of don't do the right things with him at the same time. And my issue with that is that at some point I get bored with it. So, you know, I have no interest. Like, so I see Hogan and Wyatt interact, and I think, well, as long as the end game of this is that we're going to like no sell a leg drop or just eliminate Hulk Hogan, then I think that is a fantastic idea. With Goldberg, it's a little different. I mean, again, you kind of have to do the exact same thing. You kind of have to have, you know, Bray eat a spear pretty much immediately, eat a jackknife powerbomb, then Goldberg gets all pumped up, and then he no sells it all, and he just jumps up and then destroys Goldberg. I mean, that's
but okay, I agree with that. I feel like that's what they should do. But do you also think that they might be trying to do Goldberg versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania?
but why
And make it
for a title?
They did Goldberg Brock and put a title on it too.
I don't think. Well, I mean, I guess that's an old school thought process that what you know, if you actually feel like the match needs a title to have more oomph to it, but I just don't think that. I just don't know that that's the case. I don't think that you need titles anymore as long as you do a good job of building off one-off matches. I mean,
You would think, but at the same time, that's a way of taking the belt off the Fiend and giving it to Roman without the whole fan backlash of Roman being the first one to overcome the odds and beat the Fiend. Goldberg, he's that freak of nature that they like to book like Brock that can do anything.
Yeah, but I don't buy the booking of anybody over the Fiend except for the Demon. So because of that, I mean, you're not. I mean, you would lose me. I mean, let me be serious here. Like, let me cut through this. Like, I can't stand the idea of Goldberg Bray Wyatt. I absolutely hate it. But it's at Super Showdown, right? So it's at a place that doesn't really matter. I don't know. I mean, book the match and don't even show it on the network. That's what I would do.
Here's the bigger issue. What are we gonna see at WrestleMania for the title right now? What are we building towards for Bray Wyatt for WrestleMania? And I don't know that they have anything that's intriguing at the moment. You know, you're not gonna be it. You're gonna be Roman Reigns versus the Fiend. Okay, that's a little bit, Vince heavy. Or you're gonna be somebody else coming back to take on Bray Wyatt, because that's what it seems like. Everybody keeps coming back. The only one that makes sense to me, and the only one that we keep talking about and we thought might happen, was Taker Fiend. Like, that to me is an intriguing match at WrestleMania. It's something that has a story behind it. It's something that would be interesting going forward. But other than that, like, I'm really not even interested in some of these matches that are getting set up for WrestleMania for the main title.
And I agree with that, but it's getting crazier that more and more of the rumors online have the Fiend and Undertaker nowhere near each other. They have Undertaker against AJ or Undertaker versus people like
I'm okay with I'm okay with the rumor staying away from the Fiend and the Undertaker, because I feel like that sometimes is them going out there and putting rumors out there to direct us somewhere else, to get us away from what's actually happening and troll us a little bit. And it works because we tend to pay attention. A lot of people tend to pay attention to them, and they go the wrong direction, and they actually get a surprise out there. And WrestleMania is the one place for the bigger surprises. I mean, that's when the Hardys came back, which was a great surprise. That's when uh, the Intercontinental title ladder match was a great surprise, when what's his name, Zack Ryder, ended up winning the title that nobody thought. Like, these swerves that they throw at us at WrestleMania sometimes are great, and I would love for them to somehow swerve us with the Fiend and Taker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The only issue with the rumors online, right, is that they're so inaccurate so often. I mean, they change stuff up all the time.
You say enough stuff out loud, at least one of the things out loud that you say might be true.
Of course.
That's what it comes down to with the rumors online.
And quite frankly, we love to brag. We throw a lot of different storylines out, and we change storylines up all the time. And guess what? Sometimes we get it dead on. And it doesn't mean that people are listening to us, or that, we are like on the inside or anything like that. There's just like kind of natural ways of writing certain programs, and so sometimes you hit it dead on, and that just is the case.
I agree that sometimes we hit it dead on, but I also believe that they should listen to some of us, because some of the ideas we've had have been pretty damn good that they don't ever.
Listen, we're never going to get that Cesaro angle. We need it really bad, but we're never going to get it. I wish we would, though. Like, I mean, gosh, it's just a shame. It's just a shame, like, when you look at it, like a program like this, and you see a guy like Cesaro that's just being so underutilized. They just don't do anything with him.
Well, I mean, and that goes back to something that we've said before about the underutilization of so many talented guys in WWE and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, and you were talking about Cedric Alexander earlier. God, I mean, there's no better example of like what I mean. Why are you feeding Cedric Alexander to Angel Garza? Like, don't feed him to him. Let them have an epic match. Don't let it just be like, kind of a one-sided match.
Yeah, and then like I know you guys were talking last week about Mojo Rawley, and like what has Mojo Rawley done to I mean, given it's the 24/7, he had the 24/7 title, but what has he ever done to garner like a push, albeit as small as it was? Like come on, seriously?
He's been a good company, man. And you know what? I can't fault them for that. I mean, if you work for the company and you've been around and you pay your dues to occasionally get a little bit of a push in some angle, I can't hate on that. I can hate on Mojo Rawley and I cannot like him, but the fact is the guy's been with the company for a very long time and he's been not doing anything for a very long time, and doesn't he deserve to do something and get a little TV time?
He's the new Zack Ryder.
Yeah, I mean, and so even those guys, like I appreciate when I see them, whether I like them or not. I can appreciate when I see them occasionally.
Okay, I see your point.
I'm so frustrated by that Garza Alexander match because I was tweeting out and I was messaging out like, man, I thought that was going to be match of the night, match of the week. Those two I thought could have put on a show, and they gave him nothing. They gave him like a full 6 minutes or something to wrestle a match. It was garbage.
Garbage land. And then like, Garza is, I'm not saying he's undeserving. I mean, he checks off all the boxes of those wrestlers that you're really looking for, I think, in regards to like he's got the charisma, he's got he's got the moves, like he's got everything you want out of a wrestler. But he's getting pushed so hard. And there's just other people in the wings that are like, well, you could still push him pretty hard, but still, keep it respectable over here. I mean, I think when you look at somebody like Cedric Alexander, who maybe is underutilized, but I don't think the fans have forgotten how talented he is. So by letting them have like a really good long match and still having Garza get the win, it's not like you're hurting Garza. You're still pushing him to the moon, but you're also retaining the status of Cedric Alexander instead of just throwing him under a frickin' bus.
Yeah, and Garza working, double lately is something that we haven't seen in a while, I feel.
Which is iffy, right? I mean, I think him working double makes sense for the storyline and the angle and fronting certain people up and pushing certain people. But at the same time, anytime you see somebody working double, doesn't that just mean that there's somebody else not being utilized?
Yeah. And I mean, with what's going on with Andrade, and I know you guys talked about this a little bit last week, but would this have happened with Garza had Andrade not gotten in trouble?
Maybe not, but I think to Steven's point, like it's an easy pivot to a Latino world order now. I think that it's a kind of a natural progression that you have a guy like Andrade come back, and you are going to do it either one of two ways. You're either going to have Garza and Andrade have an issue with each other, which I think makes sense eventually, but initially it almost makes more sense for them to be together, and then you start to build a faction, whether it's a Latino world order or something totally different, but that's very similar.
Would be an amazing faction if you let all these guys who can work and would work great together just run with it. It'd be great.
But then again, we're also sitting there saying, we expect WWE writers to do the right thing when, if they don't pay the technician to go in and fix the robot, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, get on that.
Now, a lot of other things were, I thought, so in this, I feel like a broken record when we talk about this, but, SmackDown was awful. Raw was okay, right? Raw was all right. And that, I feel like that's what we always say. We're always saying, but sometimes Raw might be pretty good, but for the most part, it's always like SmackDown was boo, Raw was okay, and then NXT and AEW were good. I mean, hey, I could not watch anything and just say that every week. It is probably
Sounds
true.
like a normal week. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a normal week of wrestling. Though there was, the annoying production issues as usual. The AEW production issue of letting, Nyla Rose cut a promo in picture and no one get to hear a word of it. So, that's
Love
great.
it.
Great
That was
promo.
awesome.
That was one of Chuck's hot takes too, production, and we all took a shot, and you weren't here. You weren't here. You weren't here for the beginning of the podcast.
I was snuggled in bed still. Yeah, but I'm here now. I kind of enjoyed AEW. I think the most of any show this week, though, and I think it was because there was just a little bit of build for NXT to get into Portland, and Raw and SmackDown are kind of, SmackDown obviously is floundering with the robot down, and Raw is just doing its, normal stuff with the Messiah and Becky Lynch segments. I mean, other than, the vampire segment that we got on Raw. But AEW has been, I think, starting to turn a production corner, it seems like. I'm noticing some things that are doing better. The announcing segments are better. They're going to commercial a little bit more realistically. Britt Baker, I don't think we're losing Britt Baker anytime soon. I think this is going to continue. And we need to just either get on the train for hating her because she's annoying, like the whole Lana thing, or assume that she's going to get better at these promos and I guess not wrestle, because they're not letting her wrestle, because obviously that's not winning us over. So I'm interested to see what they do with Britt Baker going forward.
I think this last one wasn't horrible.
It's better, but is it real?
It's better.
You got to
than
realize,
Lana.
but this is it. Well, yeah. What are we comparing it to? It's like, oh yeah, that shiny piece of crap is better than that shiny piece of crap. Like, it's just piece of crap still. It's not great. We got to do better, and there's better people to do it. That's my frustration. It's not that Britt Baker is, the worst person in the world, but you have Chris Statlander, who's not even on the show right now. Again, you have what's the other one? The one that was with Nyla Rose in the tables match. The other women in the division, Shayna, thank you. The other women, this is the problem. I can't remember their names because they're never on freaking TV anymore. Like, put these women on TV. You have decent women's wrestlers that you've been able to book, but you're not using them, and I can't remember them because you're not using them. So no one's ever going to get behind them.
Do you think some of that will get fixed once once AEW goes to 2 shows?
What are they going to do? Put all the women on the other show?
No, but
No,
it just gives them, instead of having 2 hours to do stuff, it'll give them 3 or 4 hours. I mean, who knows how long the other show is going to be, but it'll give them a little bit more time to showcase other talent, you would hope.
I don't know. This is my first assumption was that a lot of these women weren't being used because they already had their calendars booked, because AEW did a really good job of giving the independent wrestlers the freedom to continue their independent wrestling. So my assumption was a lot of these wrestlers were booked for things and just couldn't be where AEW was. But it's been how long now? I mean, it's been a while now, and you would assume that people's calendars weren't booked up this much, or they're just booking other things and they don't really want to do AEW. So would a second show is that going to change that? Is that going to change the fact that people aren't even opening up their calendars for AEW? Like, something's got to give here. They didn't even really get the guy who came out and crushed the independent guy that came out. They didn't even get him signed. They're just signing him up to fight Moxley next week. That's it.
Who, Cobb?
Yeah, Jeff Cobb. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with I'm fine with their model, man. I mean, I don't know that I have too much of a problem with it.
This is the thing, though. Like, we talk about, like, knowing who a person is. Like, I didn't know who Cobb was. I'm still not really sure who Cobb was. I'll go look and I'll figure it out. But you got to have some build to it. Otherwise, you're really not going to get the star power that you're looking for when you bring a guy in. NXT's got the same issue. I mean, they gotta promote Killer Cross before they bring him in, which will make sense because people will actually understand who he is when he shows up.
But they have the same problem with women on NXT to a certain degree, because as they start to move women through, you'll have like somebody like
they job them, but they job to
like Belair. She fought Garrett or whatever, and Garrett's like
Santana Garrett's been doing it for a while. Yeah, she's been.
But I mean, she's still, even though she's been doing it for a while, it's like that doesn't make fans remember her like any more or less. Not really.
But here's the difference. This is the difference. NXT is always in the same location every week. They're always in Orlando, and that crowd knows these wrestlers because that crowd has seen them before. They either seen them on the local house shows, or they've been in dark matches there. So when that crowd gets behind them or roots for them or cheers for them or does some special cheer for the person because they know who it is, the viewer at home actually feels that. That's the big difference that the crowd makes for NXT. That's why I think NXT is still better than AEW. Because, the AEW crowd is loud, but there's moments where they have no clue what's going on. They're just a bunch of drunk people watching wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I can argue that point. I mean, I
was about to say, I agree with you, Chris, on that. Way to go.
I would say, I mean, the only thing I would say is that there is a certain amount of wrestling fans that follow AEW really hard that do know who these people are, but it's a pretty small group. I guess, I don't know. I mean, I watched that Britt Baker segment, and my thoughts were like, I wasn't really into it. She had the one good Whataburger line or whatever, which was really funny. But it's been better. I mean, it's been better than what it was when it first started, I guess.
All I have to say is thank you, AEW, for listening and getting rid of the Nightmare Collective. That's kudos to AEW for listening to their fans. That's about all I can say.
I also really like this thing. I kind of have always enjoyed this weird thing where it's kind of hard to determine who's the face and who's the heel sometimes. I like the murkiness of that in AEW. Like, I was watching that Santana promo, and I was enjoying the hell out of it. And in my head, I'm like, well, wait a second, isn't Santana a heel though? And so it's like the very weird, murky match between Moxley and Santana, and over who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. I don't know. I thought AEW was great this week, personally.
Yeah, like I said, it was. I think I enjoyed that most. As far as any of the shows this week.
And they fixed the unbelievableness of Riho beating Nyla Rose. Now that Nyla Rose is the new women's champion there. And I was talking to Jimmy just a little bit before we started taping. I really enjoyed that match. I thought it was, and I said to him, it was way better than the first match they had back in October when Dynamite premiered.
I think it's got that Brock Lesnar, AJ Styles kind of feel to it, where like the big monster is fighting the quick and nimble person. And if you just keep crushing that person, but they keep fighting back or, making their push to try to win the match, it's interesting and it's fun to watch. And Riho took some good bumps too. That one where she's laying on the ropes and Rose comes down with their knee across their back. She flipped through those ropes pretty cool. It looked. They've done that before and it hasn't looked as good as it did that night.
Yeah, and some of the suplexes that Riho did on Rose, I mean, kudos to both of them for pulling that off. I mean, they had like probably about a 30 to 45 second period there where like both of them were just working so well together that it just made those little moves and those spots just so much better.
And that's the difference between, AEW and the other like women's divisions, NXT and stuff. It's the working together in the house shows, working together, outside of the televised show, building that rhythm, building that chemistry, and then that translating onto when they tape on TV.
Yeah, and then I say that, and then I remember back to the to one part of the match where it looked like Nyla Rose was going to do like a crossface submission, and it just like botched, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that was odd."
Those things happen.
Yeah,
I'm not going to expect the perfect match every time. It's not possible. You know, there was a couple things this week that I remember watching, and it was botches here and there that I just kind of ignored. I'm like, oh, that was a botch, but it's all right, no big deal. I don't mind a botch every once in a while as long as you just keep moving through the match.
Yeah, for me, it's always when the botches are like the painfully slow botches. Those are the ones that are hard to ignore. Where it's like, move, get up, go, 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 go. Like,
Yeah, I think it actually started in the first match in AEW. That was the one that the AEW tag team title match with Omega and Page versus SCU. There was something where it was like a phantom kick or something like that with Omega and one of the SCU guys, and it was like so obvious that like there was no contact whatsoever, but Omega just kept going. And I'm like, that's it, just push past it and get to the next spot.
yeah.
when do you feel that the whole Omega Page thing is going to self-destruct, and Page is just going to go off on Omega?
Sometime after the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it seems like Revolution's a good like point in time where they can do something at or after.
I would think it would be after, unless it's some weird situation where you do it there because Paige gets involved in the match with Pac, and so that's when you're doing it specifically. Almost makes more sense, I guess, to do it at the pay-per-view.
Have him drop the belts there.
They can't.
Well, they can't drop
they'd have to
dropping the
double
belts.
match. They'd have to, which is weird. They're not having a title match at the pay per view. It's almost like they need to drop before they get there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Poor planning.
But I guess this week the main topic of this week is NXT, because we got a whole lot of picks to do and a show to talk about. You know, we can touch on the actual NXT show before we get to it. They tried to salvage the non-effective pants part of last week, obviously, with showing Dream up on the screen this week and having him like kind of show the pants off.
Yeah,
which I was fine with. It didn't hit at
it's not
all
great
the first time. So to try to kind of revamp it, but that's one of those weird things where you've kind of like drawn this line and said, okay, so is Velveteen a heel or a face? And is Roderick a heel or a face? And that's kind of blurring the line. So because I liked it on AEW, I'm not going to say I don't like it. It's interesting to me, but I don't know that the promos were effective. I don't know that Strong, when he's solo on a mic, has ever been that effective. So when he was out there in the ring talking, like, he was kind of tripping over his words a little bit. But we'll give it time and see how it, I know the two of them can put on a great match. So that's not the issue. But the promos were a little lackluster.
I think the whole bringing back Velveteen Dream has been kind of misdone, to be honest. It made all the sense of the world for him to come back for Strong, but I just think the timing of it was kind of weird, and the way they executed it just hasn't worked for me. I mean, it's great that he's pulling these promos on the Titantron after what's not a Titantron. I guess it's just a regular Tron, Smally Tron, Mini Tron.
Small Tron, Mini
Tron,
Tron.
Mini Tron, Tron. So like it's interesting, obviously, but that being said, I don't know, man. It's just another angle on a TV show with a lot of good angles, and it's not one of the top ones for me right now.
Yeah.
What would you have done to change it? Or what would be the way that Christopher would have wanted Dream to come back, and how would you want it to happen?
Probably show up on another.
No. I think it made all the sense in the world for him to come back for Roddy. Like Roddy's the one that put him out. It needed to be a situation where Roddy still had the belt. It needed to be a situation where Roddy was either still holding on to the belt and no one was able to take it from him, even through all the cheating that they do. And that's when they bring Dream back. A situation where at the end of a match, Roddy wins again, and no one, nobody can step up to us. We're undisputed, and that's when you just pop back the teaser of Dream coming back. That teaser video of the 3 circles or the dates or whatever they were, that missed for me entirely because they had no build up for it. Something like that would have made more sense, and then eventually leading to him coming back and challenging him at one of the bigger pay-per-views. But I feel like they tried to rush it to get it into Portland, where this probably made more sense to be at Tampa. Unless they have a bigger storyline set up for Tampa, I think Roddy versus Dream at NXT Tampa would have been fine.
I agree. I feel like they missed a mark with not having the belt on Strong still. Whenever Dream came back, they could have had a couple more great back and forth matches. I get they want Keith Lee, they want to push him and stuff, but it just makes more sense to have that belt on Strong for the feud with Dream. Just completely makes sense that way.
And I mean, unless they weren't trusting Dijakovic and Lee to have a feud without a belt, but they've already done that. So that's why it doesn't quite make sense why they even
I think
put
that is the
Dream
problem.
and Roddy in the spot.
Well, I think that is the problem with the Dijakovic Keith Lee. That at this point it only makes belt too, because you've already done it.
Yeah, for them to have to revisit it. We've talked about this, and I've
Yeah.
used this argument against you, right? Like,
Yeah.
because the belt's there is different. You gotta, I guess you gotta pick one. I guess you couldn't have both feuds with the belt. So if you're gonna pick one, what feud needed it more? And
It's Keith Lee.
I can't disagree that doesn't need it more. So
Yeah.
but I just maybe you just don't do the Roddy Dream thing right now. Maybe you wait. I don't know. They're 2 good matchups on paper, and let's be honest, they're probably good matchups in the ring. But the way the buildup is being put together, I'm not 100% in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I'm in with the. You've committed him to being a heel for so long, and then having Velveteen be heelish and go after like the wife and the kid. It's kind of weird. But that being said, I mean, I'm just like, again, I'm willing to give it some breathing room. Not a problem.
But they're not even fighting. They don't even have a match.
Oh, that's fine. They don't need a match. They don't need.
So
a
what
match
was
in
the buildup
Portland.
for? So what was the buildup for?
Because NXT's really good at doing story, and so you have to start the story somewhere. So they don't. It's not. I don't know that they were forcing it out to be. I mean, my guess is the idea behind putting something before Portland is just so they can have some weird backstage cutaway moment in Portland between the two of them. And if they don't, then that's fine. Again, it's just about them starting the story. Yeah, maybe it didn't hit, but not every story is going to hit. They got to, manipulate it and make it good if it's not working for everybody.
Roddy will be in Portland, and then the screen will come up, and Dream will be back home in Orlando, and he'll be at Roddy's house.
Yeah.
And that's how you continue the build.
The Joe AJ Styles angle.
I was just gonna say that.
Which
Except
was a very effective
the good
angle.
guy is doing the bad thing. Yeah, I don't.
Well, it's
weird.
but again, it's the murky thing. It's where they're both kind of which one's a good guy and which one's a bad guy. I mean, I don't know how you properly do that. Do you like run some weird angle where there's like a tape thing where Marina is in trouble from somebody that's not Dream, and Dream then protects her? Is that how you do it? So that he kind of comes across as a good guy who's protecting, but it still kind of drives Roderick Strong mad. It's a complicated story that they've gotten themselves into. And you know what? Quite frankly, I find that kind of refreshing. Like, I don't want to know who's the good guy and the bad guy. Just give me a story and let me figure it out. I mean, because there is the bigger question here, but I think we kind of get into that with picks, is what kind of longevity does the Undisputed Era have at this moment? And what is their path? Because Roderick could very easily flip out of that role as a bad guy in Undisputed Era and just be Roderick Strong the face against Velveteen Dream the heel.
It is nice that, I feel NXT delivers stories that sometimes aren't so cut and dry.
Yeah.
Whereas like some of the other shows and storylines are like, yep, nope, it's this side and that side.
Yeah, so I think that's, if that's the direction it ends up going, and it makes you think and makes you not really know who's what, I mean, that can be refreshing. So we'll give it a little bit of time and see what happens. Past that, I don't like Bianca Belair. I just don't.
Me either.
Not a fan. And so I don't know. They're trying so hard to push that, hey, this match matters, even though we fucked ourselves over and showed you that the match doesn't matter. All they had to do is like hold off all that Charlotte stuff until afterwards, instead of making it being a prime part of that story, where it's like part of the story is, hey, I'm being overlooked and I don't need to be overlooked. Does anybody on this podcast really think that Bianca Belair is going to take the title off of Ripley and suddenly be the person that's fighting Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania? Really going to give Bianca Belair a WrestleMania match?
I mean, she might have an appearance somewhere, but she's not in a match. It's stupid. It's stupid.
That's just one of those, like, we've got ourselves in a bind. We're telling the story this way, but you're telling a story that doesn't make sense, because any wrestling fan with a brain is going to be like, this doesn't quite add up. And shit, I could be way fucking wrong. I could be way wrong. But I have a feeling that the group of us are probably going to go 6-0, like, in regards to picking Rhea Ripley.
That's a pretty decent prediction.
But hey, speaking of picks, why don't we jump into picks? Captain Chuckles, who is picking first, who's picking last, who's picking in the middle, who, I guess we should remind everybody, and I think I mentioned this earlier, but the current pick champion is Nickamura. And I think I speak for everybody when we say there's nothing we would like to do more than to just knock Nickamura all the way down to the ground.
Yeah, if we go on pick history, Nick will probably be back at like 2 wins, as he usually is with his picks and everything.
Well, the question is, how many blondes are actually fighting? Are there any blondes fighting?
Dyed blonde, maybe. I'm not really sure.
Well, if there's no blondes fighting, then
Dijakovic, I don't know.
Then there's nobody for him to pick.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool. So we got 6 matches to pick. Who picked first last time? I can't even keep up with that. You need to start writing that. You need to start writing that down.
I'll start that this time. Well, we know our the last 2 picks that we'll say will be Gimpy, Crème, and Nickamura. And then why don't we let's have Steven start off, Then we'll go to Tiro. Then we'll go to me. Then we'll go to Jimmy.
Feel my thunder, boys.
Your thunder's stolen. Which match we starting with?
Oh, let's see. We will start off with let's go to the street fight match. Kai versus Nox.
I'm gonna stick with what I said before with Kai.
Okay, Mr. Tiro.
I have a feeling I'm gonna have another bad pick week. I don't know. It's just I'm looking at this card and just having a tough time picking a lot of surprises. But I'll try. I'll put it that way. I'm gonna pick Tegan Nox just because I like Tegan Nox a lot. She's one of my favorites as far as NXT women's wrestlers goes. So I'll go with Nox. I think she gets her revenge on Dakota Kai.
Yeah, there's so many matches on this card that it's like, do you go heart over story, person that you wrestle that you like over wrestler that you don't like? I am in agreement with Christopher. I'm going with Nox on this. I think there's finally a little bit of retribution for all of what Dakota Kai has put her through over the last little bit.
I've found this storyline to be interesting enough to keep it going. And the one thing I didn't like about it was I didn't like that they fought already, one time. I can't say that I'm too into that when you're trying to do these builds, but I'm gonna go with Dakota Kai. I'm gonna say they maybe don't have anything else set up for them to do other than like bouncing him into tag team action or something like that. And I'm going to say that Dakota Kai is going to get the better of Tegan Nox. I would prefer that, definitely from a story perspective, shot and continue it on to the next takeover. Even not that it has to be them at the next takeover, but you could have like a tag match or something with other people that get involved, just to spread the love.
Well, and both Gimpy Crème and Nickamura are in agreement with both you and Steven. They both picked Dakota Kai in this match. Let's move on to our North American Championship match with Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic. Steven.
With how they're pushing Lee, there's no point in taking the belt off of him this early with how they're pushing him. So Lee all.
Yeah, there's no way you take the belt off of Lee. I'd be floored if they did. I love Dominic, but it's can't happen here. Keith Lee.
Yeah, Keith Lee all day on this one with me as well.
Dominic Dijakovic deserves this belt so bad, but yeah, they're never going to take that belt off of Keith Lee so fast. So, Keith Lee.
In agreement, all six of us, because Creamy Kramer and Nickamura both picked Keith Lee as well. Okay, let's go to our tag team title match. Undisputed Era versus the Broserweights.
All I'm saying is, when Triple H was getting into his personal plane to fly in, the Broserweights boarded the plane with him, which just solidifies it in my head more that the Bros are bringing the titles to them.
Oh man. So here's my thought process.
I can feel how torn you are right now, Christopher.
It's well, this is the issue right now. We talk about the demise of the Undisputed Era. The fall of the Empire is coming, but how you do it is very important, I think. I think it has to fall in a certain order. And I have to decide if that's going to happen tonight or this weekend or whatever.
Oh, we already hot take that, by the way, before you
Yeah.
got here. Why isn't it on Saturday? What the hell's wrong
Yeah.
with you, WWE?
So confused by that, but okay. So yeah, like I have to decide if it's going to happen this weekend or not. And if it's going to happen this weekend, the order I feel like it has to happen is North American title falls, done, check. Tag titles fall, that would have to happen first, and then Cole falls. It has to happen in that order, I think, to make sense. So if I pick the Broserweights here, it helps me pick the final match. If I pick Undisputed Era here, it picks for me for the final match. I feel like I have to stick with my gut, and my gut's telling me that it's not time yet for the Undisputed Era to fall, and I'm gonna pick the Undisputed Era to retain.
Bad pick.
It might be. I preface this whole pick thing with I might not do well this week.
It's so tough. I mean, I loved the vignettes this week with the Broserweights. I thought they were all hilarious. I laughed every single time they came up and tried a new way to get to Portland. The boat, I think, was my favorite because there's no way they would have gotten there in time. But yeah, I mean, it is a little interesting, and you know what you say, Chris, about the fall of the empire and how do they do it. And like you said, we already had the North American off of them, so now you got 2 titles left. As much as they're pushing the Broserweights right now, I don't see them taking the title off of Undisputed Era on Sunday. I'm going with Undisputed Era, and even if they took it off of them tomorrow night, I don't think that Cole would end up losing anyway. I think that's going to be a longer game. But I mean, hey, they could do it out of order and take the big title next, but I'm going Undisputed Era.
I think everybody makes really good points. And I think the one thing that I always do too is I look at, booking logic in regards to, do I really want to have a takeover where nothing changes hands? And I would say, because we have takeovers infrequently enough, that would be a bad idea. So I look at all these belts and say, well, one of the belts has to change hands. One of them does. And if I've already determined it's not going to be Keith Lee. Spoiler alert, there's no way it's going to be Rhea Ripley. So is it going to be the Undisputed Era dropping the tag titles? Is it going to be Adam Cole dropping his belt? Is it going to be both? Because those, I feel like, are the only ones that are even capable of happening. And so if I have to pick the one that is the most likely to happen, it is without a doubt the tag titles going to the Broserweights. So I will choose the Broserweight.
Well, and we are a 3-3 split on this one. Creamy Kramer is with Christopher and I on Undisputed Era, and Nickamura is with Big Baby Jimmy and Steven with the Broserweights. So we got a split there.
I'm not doing well this week. You ever just feel it, or it's just like Jimmy brought up the great point. It's like they can't just let everybody retain, right? Like takeovers are great. Takeovers are great because you never know what's going to happen. But if everyone just retains, man,
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and go ahead and tell you at least 2 of the champions lose their belt.
Jimmy's point, I'm sitting here going, man, I should change my pick, but I'm gonna stick with it.
I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to, since we pretty much all know where everyone lands on this one, we're gonna go to the NXT Women's Championship. Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair.
How fast can we do it? Can we do it really fast?
Yeah,
Let's just save
let's
time
go.
and all at the same time.
Okay,
Ripley.
everybody. 1, 2, 3.
Ripley.
There we go. Okay, good. So we will move on to Finn Balor.
Unless
Uh-oh.
the only thing that could change is that match is I was gonna say maybe a no finish, but Ripley.
Yeah, but the no finish is going to be in this next one where Finn and Gargano don't finish to set up for
Ooh, hot take.
very
There
hot
you
take. I
go.
feel like there's so much the two of them can do, and just let them give them 15, 20 minutes just to beat the hell out of each other. Go to a no. I don't even care how they do a no finish. It could be a time limit draw if they want to. I don't care. Just set it up to give them one more at Tampa and let them steal the show in Tampa. Give them some kind of stipulation. Make it a cage match. Make it a ladder match. I don't care. Just let them kill each other, and it'll be entertaining.
You realize Steven and Nick have tied my hands here, by the way. I'll inform more when it gets to me.
Okay, well, Steven is going with he's keeping his pick of no finish in the match. So Christopher.
This is tough. So Finn really hasn't won many matches with the bigger names so far. Like he lost that match because Gargano just walked out on the stage. So it's like does Finn need to win though? And I don't know that he does. I feel like Finn Balor is bringing that persona on and squashing guys on the weekly show that it's fine. Where Gargano is, Johnny Takeover, but even Johnny Takeover loses most of his Takeover matches. He has great matches, but he loses them.
Okay. Just, I believe it's going to be a no finish, but if Gargano win, I don't think Finn comes out with a win. If Gargano does win, I think we get them rematch at Tampa, and it's Gargano versus the Demon.
I think the Demon's gone. I don't think we're seeing the Demon for a while. I think they've written the Demon off and letting Finn be the Balor Club or the Bullet Club Finn for a while. This is a really tough one, man. I'm gonna just go out on a limb and just say Gargano at this point because I agree with this is not the story isn't ending here and it could continue on to Tampa. And I just think Gargano needs the win more than Balor does. That's how I'm looking at it.
Well, apparently this week I'm going to go down in flames with Christopher.
It's a beautiful thing.
I know, right? So I am also going with Gargano in this one. But I do agree with you guys that this is not going to be the last match between them. And they're going to have something a little bit bigger later on. So Gargano for me.
So the beautiful thing about NXT is that they do such a good job with story. So I feel like I can pick either way. I can use like normal wrestling logic sometimes, and like it doesn't matter because the story's still going to be there. So now this next bit of wrestling logic I'm throwing in is that when able, they usually like to do like 50-50 booking between heels and faces generally in wrestling. And so if I'm going with that, at the moment I've got a whole lot of faces winning. And so I can't possibly have Johnny Gargano win if I think that Keith Lee's going to win and the Broserweights are going to win and Rhea Ripley's going to win. Like that's a lot of faces winning. So I don't think it matters who wins Balor versus Gargano. I really don't. I think you can take that story and just twist it on it as long as you want to. And so I have to believe that Finn Balor is going to be the one to win this match. Because not only is it an opportunity for you to continue on the story if you want to, but it's also an opportunity for him to pivot off of his win to get himself put into the championship picture, which I think was an inevitability with Finn Balor coming in.
Well, Jimmy, Creamy Kramer, and Nickamura both agree with you since they both chose Finn Balor for that match.
And it's going to be great when I'm the only person who gets a point for that match.
I hate Nickamura's pick so much. I hate his picks so much because I think they're just so fucking dead on.
Could he do it two times in a row? I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? So our last match for the NXT Men's Championship, NXT Championship, whatever you want to call it, we have Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa. Steven.
The Blackhearts bringing Goldie home. Undisputed Era goes down tonight.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. I don't
I
care.
know. I know. Fuck.
That's stupid.
Fuck them. Why did
The
they
date
move
is
it? Why are
stupid.
you moving it? It should be today.
Undisputed Era is going down. I think it's a very good match. They'll probably have another match probably in Tampa for the belt again, but Ciampa brings Goldie home, and it's going to be amazing.
Man.
I'm doing so bad this week.
It's so bad, man. Like I could easily lose 4 of the matches. Like I feel like the only one I'm confident, the 2 that I'm confident of is Ripley and Lee. Like I might have two, and that's it for the whole
6-0s, right?
Yeah, man. All right, I'm gonna stick with Adam Cole. I think he finds a way to win. He's been finding a way to win all these big matches. I don't think this is the end of Cole and Ciampa. I think this match was much better set up to be at WrestleMania weekend. I don't quite understand why it's now. I feel like Cole Ciampa is the biggest match that NXT could put on for WrestleMania weekend, and putting it on now is only a prelude to a second match, just like they've done with Cole with everybody he's beaten or everybody he's faced. It's like they always have to do a best out of with him. So I'm going to stick with the Undisputed Era holding their own and ending the night in the ring, and then maybe there'll be a dream running at the end there, or Killer Cross or something, some fun ending to Portland, because I've obviously ruined the show by picking all the champions to win.
yeah. Man, you're right. This is a WrestleMania weekend.
Holy crap! I picked all the freaking like good guys and the champions. Like, what a terrible pick week. Sorry.
Don't worry. I'm pretty much with you. Yeah, this is a WrestleMania weekend match, and why we have it now is I don't know, but
we have it now to go ahead and let Ciampa have the belt because it's Ciampa, and then Mania they have a rematch where Cole just gets beat one more time, and he can move on after.
Maybe.
I like Adam Cole.
Perhaps.
I do like Adam Cole so much. It's time to move on from him being the champ. Change it up a little bit, and Ciampa's just gold. He needs Goldie.
Steven's going with the whole demise of Undisputed Era on this pay-per-view for the last 2 belts here. I am sticking with Cole, and Cole is going to retain, and then we are going to get another match at the WrestleMania weekend on Saturday, where it should be, in a rematch between these two. So Adam Cole.
So let me preface my pick by saying, Adam Cole, you are amazing, and you are the only example of a champion that we currently have that has not gotten boring with the belt being on them for so long. So while Steven, you said, it's time to drop the belt off of him, the thing is they could keep the belt on him for a while, and he would still keep it relevant, and he would still keep it interesting.
Oh, well, I'm not saying he hasn't kept it relevant and interesting. It's just from time to time you want to see it switch around. Like through the Attitude Era, you didn't want Austin to have the belt the whole entire time. You had The Rock, you had Triple H. Every so often that champ needs to drop it to change the direction a little bit.
Maybe. I don't know. I like Adam Cole.
Maybe.
That being said, my pick is not going to be Adam Cole, and it's for a couple different reasons. One, if I'm going to pick against Adam Cole, do I have a valid main event for the next pay-per-view? And so, as you said, the valid main event could be the rematch between the two of them, which could immediately flare up because, he's pissed that he gets beat by Ciampa. Or do you have, as Chris said, a surprise run-in that leads to the next match? That's a big enough surprise that it could be a main event match. Or do you have another pick that I chose, a Finn Balor winning and then immediately challenging Ciampa? And so part of it's like, which one do I think, if I have Balor going up against whoever wins, which one do I think makes more sense? Balor versus Ciampa or Balor versus Cole? And if I'm doing the good guy, bad guy booking, then that answer is Ciampa. So another factor, and this is probably the more important factor, is that if I pick Adam Cole, then I am picking 100% Nick's picks. And if I go Ciampa, then my picks will be unique from everybody's. Very close to Steven's, but he made that no finish call, so the no finish call tilts him in one direction. The Adam Cole pick ticks Nick in one direction. So if I just go Ciampa, then I'm unique. And if I actually hit my picks dead on, I will dethrone Nickamura as the pick champion. So I have to pick Ciampa because of that.
You can try to dethrone him all you want. I'm the one taking the throne.
You'll be taking the throne when you're dropping all that shit out of your system.
There's a lot of heat in this week's picks, I feel.
Yeah, take it out. Get it out of your system.
Next week, you're going to come on here and have to cry and show everybody the big baby that you are when you're wrong.
Listen, I show everybody the big baby I am every week. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, to round off the last two picks here, Jimmy is correct. Nickamura is going with the champion Adam Cole, and Gimpy La Crème, Creamy Kramer, Michael, is going with Ciampa. So we have a 3-3 split here.
I think Steven's pick. I mean, Steven's picks are really fucking solid. I think Nick's picks are really fucking solid. I'm, had to break the mold just a little bit, but
you're good. And I think the other guys have like at least two picks that are worth something.
Thanks.
Maybe Chris's picks are horrible. He admitted it. I'll back him up on his thing. Your picks are horrible.
They're bad. I don't know. Like,
and my picks are the same.
I know. I just don't think it's gonna roll. It's not gonna roll out that way. There's just no way a belt, like, if they don't turn a belt over, and if you guys actually win the picks, like, I mean, you guys get to come on here and brag, but I'm gonna be disappointed if NXT goes the way that you guys say it's gonna go.
I'm playing the long game of they got something worked into Portland to help them get to Tampa. Like they got some people coming, surprise wrestlers or surprise angles. That's the only way that my picks make sense right now.
My only issue with that too, though, is you look at some of these pay-per-views that WWE has, like any of them that aren't the main four. And how often are we like, what was the point of that pay-per-view? Nothing happened. Nothing changed. What was the point of it? Why make it a pay-per-view?
Every single main card pay-per-view.
Every single one except for the main four or five. We'll throw Money in the Bank in there.
And except for takeovers.
Yeah, and except for takeovers. So a bit of that is like saying, okay, well, we think that's going to happen with takeover now. Again, the story's there. So
I said I'm going to lose. What else am I going to say, man? I'm going to lose.
No. Christopher, don't worry. We're going to win. You want to know why? Because it's in Portland, Oregon. I mean, come on. That's like the most boring place in the world.
Hey, listen, The
All right.
hipsters were watching NXT long before you, Chuck. And the hipsters thought it was boring long before you thought it was boring, okay?
I
Well-
kind of feel like that should be the name of the episode. Portland is the most boring place in the world.
No, I'm sorry. Gimpy LaCreme's just too good. Every single time he says it, I laugh. I love that almost should be his new nickname. Like I know his nickname was Creamy Kramer, but I almost prefer the nickname Gimpy LaCreme. I love that so much.
It flows. It just flows.
It flows like the cream on the back end of the name.
and the best part of it is that he's not live or he's not on the podcast today, and he has absolutely no clue.
He is alive.
when he-
like easy,
when
Chuck.
he
He
listens
is
to it-
alive.
He is alive. He's not live on the podcast, but when he listens to this and when he sees the title of the episode, he's gonna be like, oh boy, what in the world?
He's not alive without a full dose of cream every morning. I think that's what you meant to say.
He'll be on painkillers. He won't know what's going on.
So we got a little bit of time left for a round table of hot takes. So let me get your hot takes, boys. Anybody want to jump in? Go ahead.
I think Chuck covered most of them at the beginning, other than just the shittiness that's been the Raw booking the last couple.
Oh, the Raw booking.
Well, SmackDown, but it's all been kind of shitty the last couple weeks. It's been decent, but it's been shitty.
Well, I mean, if you don't give me a hot take, give me something you want to see. Give me something you want to see change this weekend. I don't know. Give me anything.
Well, I told you what I want to change this weekend. I want Undisputed Era to go down. That's my weekend change.
I got something.
All right. Hit me up with something, Chris.
It's a broken record, but I got something. If you want to fix SmackDown, we need to make Chad Gable lose his mind. This whole thing with Chad Gable now having other people with him to try to beat Sheamus is getting to the point of, all right, we don't need more people in there. We just need Chad Gable to be a different person. So I don't understand why no one's listening and no one sees how great this could be. If you just take Chad Gable, knock the sense out of him, and turn him into Kurt Angle. It makes all the sense of the world. He doesn't have a good character as Shorty G right now. Make him lose his mind. Make him turn into Kurt Angle. He was taking all those notes forever ago in those promos. He was stealing people's gimmicks. That's what he should do right now. Steal a gimmick, become Kurt Angle, beat Sheamus at WrestleMania. Done.
All right, Steven, I've got something I need you to do now because
Yeah.
Tiro just dictated that we're going to do fantasy bookings at the end of the show. So I need you to go ahead and pitch your fantasy booking, even though it might be a broken record. Go ahead and pitch it for me, please.
Oh man. I guess Romania, since it's the next big one.
I mean, just in general, it could be anything.
Just bring up your Latinos.
Oh,
Just give us
Yeah.
some details behind it.
I would love to see, and it could be over the U.S. title. Have somebody else come into the picture and just have the Latino World Order take over and beat down. And then my fantasy into it would be the returning Rey Mysterio be the actual leader of it, and he makes a massive heel turn, and then he ends up going for, I guess, Drew McIntyre after he wins the belt. And just let them have a feud with the Latino World Order versus anybody. It'd be amazing. I'm very surprised they haven't tried to do it at this point, especially with the success of the Undisputed Era faction. They know things can work if they do it right. You let Ray lead some of these younger guys, and you let him mold Andrade into what Andrade could be, and it could be a very dominating faction that could run for a couple of years like Undisputed Era before they would have to start splitting things up.
Chuckles, give me your fantasy booking.
Well, I have one more hot take to add to my list of 37 that was earlier in the podcast today. Otis, I feel bad for you, bro. I mean, I'm saddened. That hurts me as a big man like yourself. Not as big, but it saddens me. The other part of that is, how does not one person in that fake restaurant even respond to like some big dude coming in and dropping roses? I mean, even the people next to him were like, I'm not looking at this guy. But anyway, I digress. My fantasy booking, it would be, man, I I I don't even know. It would have to be something with one of the mid card titles, and I don't know when it would happen, but I want to see Andrade versus Garza. I think we talked about it, like just touched on it a little bit earlier, but I think that would be a phenomenal match.
All right, so to repeat Tiro's line of questioning, I'm going to pitch this one more time. I'm going to put in the description of this episode that we got fantasy bookings at the end. Here is my fantasy booking. And I know you guys have heard this before, so I apologize. Cesaro is taken to corporate headquarters, and he is sat down with whoever. Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon. How about the whole McMahon family? All of them. And they say, and because it's getting pretty close to WrestleMania, it's going to be kind of difficult to do this, but say, we haven't been putting you in much stuff, and it's because, we've kind of, grown tired of you, and we're just letting you know that after SummerSlam, you're going to be terminated. So Cesaro is walking out, and it suddenly hits to a security camera. And Cesaro is walking by like a glass case, and you can't really see it because of the angle of the security camera. He kind of looks over at it as he walks past it. He keeps walking, and then he stops. Walks back, looks at it, takes a chair, smashes it, grabs a belt, and runs. Like, you can tell it's a belt. You're just not sure what it is. Shows up on one of the shows in a week or two, and he's wearing a robe. And he goes out there and he cuts a promo basically saying, I don't have any respect in this company. I don't get any title shots. It's ridiculous that they're getting ready to get rid of me. So I decided to, create my own shot. And so I took this. He pulls the robe off. He's got the European title around his waist. And he starts to go from show to show doing open challenges of who can face him. And in the background, you have the different leaders of these shows, like the Stephanie McMahons and the Triple H's and stuff like that, that are basically starting out by tapping somebody in the back that they're like, they don't take Cesaro seriously. So they, go to somebody like, yeah, go out there and take the title from him. And he beats them. And each week, they send progressively harder opponents at him until we get all the way to SummerSlam, where it is Cesaro versus Brock Lesnar for the European title, and Cesaro retains. And not only does he retain, but he wins himself back into the WWE and wins himself a big contract and wins himself an actual title match. And yeah, he gets himself a main card title run after that. That is my fantasy booking. All right. Well, gentlemen, it's been wonderful.
It's been okay. It's been moderate to okay.
Wow.
So we're like a Raw, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Not quite NXT or AEW, but we pulled off a Raw. It definitely wasn't a SmackDown.
No. I feel like SmackDown is a thumbs down. AEW and NXT are thumbs up. And then Raw is like the Orange Cassidy thumb up.
Oh, either that or like a hand that's shaking back and forth like,
So.
Well, thank you everybody for listening this week. This has been episode 46, Gimpy La Crème. I love that so much. By all means, like, subscribe, follow us, share it with anybody, make comments about the things you like, make comments about the things you hate, interact with us, interact with other people within the wrestling community. And we'll see you guys back here next week for what hopefully will be the coronation of Big Baby Jimmy as King of the Picks. Bend the knee, boys. Bend the knee. By the way, for those of you playing the game, the board game at home, Chris, in fact, never did get that slushie. I'm sorry, not the slushie, the snow cone. So we really should have kicked him off of the podcast.
It's not my fault the ice cream man didn't have it. I would have totally got it in Houston if he had it. I would have had to borrow money for it, but whatever. This is the part of the podcast where we can't finish the podcast and we just keep talking.
Oh, I did finish the podcast, but I just wanted to point out for the people who listen every week that Christopher has no spot on this podcast. We're just allowing him to be on. We're allowing him to be in our space. All right. Talk to you later, everybody. See you next week.